Hi everyone, welcome to Dorrien Gardens for preliminary night final here in the West as Northern Redbacks and Perth Soccer Club go head-to-head for a place in Saturday's Top 4 Cup final. Thanks for joining me tonight on the Football West YouTube channel and on the Facebook page, wherever you may be watching around Australia and the world. And also thanks for staying up for this 8:30 p.m. kickoff here in Perth. My name's Tommy Dolman. I'll be calling you through tonight's fixture on a cold, wet and windy night for football here. Forecast says there's a little bit more of this to come as well here on your Wednesday night. It's both team captains, Zoe Spadano and Sean Billam. Stand with the officials for a team photo. We'll just bring you some team news in terms of both sides for tonight's game. The Redbacks made a couple of changes from the team, which was defeated against Murdoch University Melville in the qualifying final on Friday night. Carla Bennett and Andrea Teixeira dropped to the bench, and coming into the starting lineup in their place are Jana Ridley and Olivia Wood. So some fresh legs there for Carlos Vega-Mayna's side, as both of these teams play midweek football 3 days out from Saturday's showpiece event here at this venue, the venue where the Top 4 Cup finals will be hosted. Perth, meanwhile, maintain an unchanged 11 for a sixth straight game in a row. Danielle Brogan certainly found the formula for her team in recent weeks and over the past month or so. Of course, they've won their previous 5 games, keeping clean sheets in all of those along that journey. Possibly hear that rain in the background. The officials just doing their pre-game admin of checking the nets. Referee out in the middle tonight is David Avison, who recently officialed the title decided between Redbacks and Mom FC on the synthetic a couple of weeks ago, and he'll be assisted by Jared Maunder and Libby Caldwell. So closing in on kick-off tonight, slightly north of Perth CBD, as we dive well and truly into the final week of the campaign. A place in Saturday's final against back-to-back champions Mom FC is the price for both of these sides, who are looking to collect their first silverware this season. In Perth's case, their first women's trophy of the NPLW era. And for the Redbacks, it's a game they need to progress to if they are to defend their Top 4 Cup title. Preliminary fight final here at Dorrien Gardens. Win or go home for both of these teams in season 2021. And we're off and underway. Both teams wearing their home kits tonight, the Azuri in their sky blue jerseys and the white shorts. The Redbacks playing in their predominantly red shirt with the black shorts. And over on that far side, it'll be an early throw-in to be taken by Nadia Harvey. Perth kicking from the right to the left of your stream this evening. Possession breaks down. There's one of the inclusions, Jana Ridley, back for Sean Billam. And now Ruby Cohen will spin that one out wide, and as you can see, the ball just zipping off the surface straight away. Rain still remaining fairly light though for the time being. Spadano's ball wide is over the head of Duncanson. Redbacks will get a throw. It's going to be tough for the players to keep possession tonight. It's going to take a little bit of time to get to grips with the surface. Pretty good weather here in the West over the past 7 days or so. Meanwhile, Woods threaded a ball through for Larissa Walsh. It was a good challenge from Harvey coming inside from full back. And now Tanner plays wide for Duncanson, who looks up. Good switch of the play here. Picks up Sophia Neal in a little bit of space. Former Redbacks player, of course, who was with the club in 2020. Ball forward for Gemma Crane. Continuing her run forward was Spadano. The ball across goal. Cook tried to get a poke on it. And in fact, it was, I think that might have been Ruby Cohen who was back there and putting a crucial challenge in. And it'll lead to the first set piece of the evening. So early corner for Perth. It's going to be an outswinger from Duncanson to the edge of the area. It's Spadano hitting it. It's deflected. In fact, it wasn't deflected. It went through a sea of bodies, touched nobody and went behind for a goal kick. as we touched on before in the introduction, Perth have really found their form lately. Let's not forget they were 5 defeats in a row and a lot of goals being conceded in that period as well. They were really facing a battle to make it to the top 4 places around a month or so ago, but after a little bit of tweaking with the team, a few positional changes, Danielle Brogan's found a starting 11 that she settled on, and they've since gone on to win 5 games in a row, keeping clean sheets in all of them. 4 games in the league, the semi-final, the elimination final with Fremantle City at the weekend. 14 goals across those 5 games as well, as Duncanson drives down the left. She's played a big part in that run of form. She links up with Crane, continued her run. And then putting out for a throw was Emily Dunn, who was in from full back and covering the central of defence. Crane goes all the way back for Tessa DeLeo, who scored that second penalty in the 2-0 win against Fremantle City at the weekend. 2 penalties on Sunday, giving the Azzurri the win there. Now here's Gemma Crane driving through midfield. She's got a couple of teammates ahead of her. She passes sideways for Meekins, who rolls it into the feet of Cook. Touch was a little heavy, and stepping in there was Coleman, but clearance was a little short of Walsh, and Perth can reboot and go again. And just like Coleman did a moment ago, Dunn steps in on this occasion. Ball forward for Wood. Meekins. And now Dunn again. Carroll's ball forward. Both teams just struggling to string their passes together with conviction at the moment. Little turn around the corner from Cook was overhit. Carroll thought about leaving it. She instead plays up the line for Dunn. Coleman, Perth pressing really well here. Duncanson then gets the strike on goal, and Diedrichsen was able to get down low and make a pretty easy save in the end. First real action for either keeper thus far. Crane was sliding in there. Shouts for a foul, in particular from the Redbacks fans. And eventually David Avison heeds those calls. I must admit I was tracking the ball as it was played up the line, so even I missed that challenge, but it seemed as though the right decision was eventually made. Walsh, plenty of place to burn. Nadia Harvey's going to have a tough challenge in that right fullback position this evening, but she's been a really important piece of what Perth have done really well in the past month or so. I recall one game in particular here at Dorrien Gardens where she shut down Tanisha Baker's threat of the NTC down the left-hand side, and Perth ran out 4-0 winners. And that ultimately proved to be the game which kick-started that stretch of wins. Meanwhile, Wood plays forward. Skipping in behind is Walsh in the driving rain. She's wide left against Harvey again. The ball back for Coleman. Little turn inside. Perth are able to clear their lines. Redbacks will play back. Ridley. DeLeo stepping in. Real strong partnership that Tessa DeLeo's formed with Emma McMurdo at the back. A player McMurdo, also a former Redback. Predominantly a midfielder last campaign. Played up forward as well earlier in the campaign, but Danielle Brogan liked her ball-playing ability from defence, and it's something that's just worked really well and complemented nicely next to DeLeo. as we saw against Mum FC around 6 weeks ago. She's still capable of getting forward from a set piece and lashing in a spectacular half volley as she did over on the synthetic at Wormald Civil Stadium. Carroll, little turn for Coleman. The deflection may run into the path of Walsh here, who's stood up by the aforementioned McMurdo. Ball back for Coleman, and eventually the ball plays out of touch and over the sidelines over on that far side. And goodness me, the sheets of rain are really starting to form across the pitch. Without wanting to harp on about it for the duration of the game, it's just going to get tougher and tougher for the players, you feel, as Duncanson spins to her right. She plays a little 1-2 with Cook. The return pass not quite on the money. Now Spadano. Ball out wide for Cook. The cross into the area looking for Neal. The foot came in from Cohen. And then Coleman will play back for Dunn, who just clears and tries to gain a little bit of territory, a little bit of respite. Eventually Sarah Carroll works back from a centre forward position. Sean Billum then plays forward looking for Walsh. Carroll. Wide for Ridley. Tries to get the better of Tanner. That was a nice little show of acceleration from Ridley. The pass up the line is looking for Carroll, and it was a good challenge from DeLeo. Sarah Carroll, who's the leading scorer in this fixture across the NPLW era. Crane driving forward. Perth have got a 3-on-3 here, but just that final touch was a little heavy, and then the bomb forward will give Walsh something to chase, and skidding off the surface again and into the grateful arms of Bennett on this occasion. Crane trying to pull a string or two. The strike was blocked well by Coleman. And now Walsh tries to turn and sprint away from Harvey, but it's good strength from Harvey to just body her opponent towards the sideline and win a throw-in for her team. Duncanson back for Cook. Back once more for Harvey. Little ball inside for Crane. Was cut out by Carroll. Now Spadano will try her luck from distance. Diedrichsen had to watch that one from a long way out and was able to get in a good position to claim. Montero, Ridley, Sarah Carroll. Ridley continued her run. She'll think about putting the cross into the area. She checks back instead. Now the pullback should be cut out and dealt with this occasion by Murdo, I think it was back there. Running into Cohen there was Sophia Neal, and Perth will win a free kick, but it's not really the night to be standing around trying to slow the game down. McMurdo. Wide for Harvey. Passes in front of Duncanson and away for a throw. We touched on Perth's form a little earlier on. Redbacks have actually lost their last 2 games. Final game of the league season and then the qualifying final to Mum FC last week by 3-2. Prior to that, though, they were 13 games unbeaten through the mid to late season stage of the campaign. 8 wins in a row and 11 wins in 13 games in that stretch. DeLeo's ball forward, bounces straight over the head of Cook. Neal can't bring it under control. And then Billum just plays for territory. It's a good pass, though. If it stays in for Ridley, anyway, it does. Now Ridley's got 2 teammates ahead of her for the moment. A few more are joining in now. The pass inside was for Olivia Wood. The clearance was made by DeLeo. Done forward off the side of the head and out for a throw. So just shy of 15 minutes into this NPLW WA preliminary final here at Dorrien Gardens. It's Northern Redbacks 0, Perth Soccer Club 0 on a stormy Wednesday night, 3 days out from Top 4 Cup final weekend. Winner of this game, of course, plays 2-time champions Murdoch University Melville in Saturday's final. That one will be a 4:45 p.m. kickoff at this venue, preceding the men's final, which begins at 7 p.m. That one will be played between Florida Athena and Perth Soccer Club, the replay of last year's final. Meanwhile, Walsh and Wood exchange passes. Walsh wants that right foot. She plays for Sarah Carroll. It was a great challenge, and then Walsh's shot again was straight down the throat of Bennett and comfortably saved by the goalkeeper. 8 clean sheets for Bennett, including those 5 in a row, as we touched on before. Another great season from the Missouri shot stopper. Meanwhile, coming the other way is Gemma Crane, who flicks one out wide here for Jamie Duncanson. The zip off the turf just deceived her slightly, but it's still here for Perth's number 20. The cross into the area, stepping in and poking away was Coleman. And then Harvey's ball in will be a little too close to Diedrichson, and Redbacks can earn a little bit of respite. Bennett's clearance upfield. You can see on the pitch here there are some pretty significant puddles forming, particularly in the centre of the pitch. We'll keep an eye on that. Doesn't look like it's letting up anytime soon. Harvey's throw forward. Arriving here was Gemma Crane, who tried to fizz one across the area. Just spun off the outside of the boot and behind for a goal kick. Diedrichson's clearance up the line. Spadano and Ridley battling for possession. It was well won by the Redbacks player. Spadano then feeds forward, but she was caught a little late by Billum. So McMurdo stood over this free kick. Ball forward is headed away by Billum on the edge of the area. At the expense of a throw-in at the other side of the pitch. Of course, with many of the supporters hiding under the grandstand in our position tonight, it makes that ball retention a little more difficult. Normally have a few more people hovering around over the fences, retrieving football to get the game moving quickly. Harvey's throw brought down by Sophia Neal. Pass inside was looking for Crane. Redbacks should just be able to slam it upfield a little. Billum with a timely boot in. Murdo's ball wide. Cook tries to link up with Neal. Did a really good job, and then the through ball was a nice idea for Crane. Execution not quite on point. Cook, Crane, driving down the right-hand side. Two teammates in the middle. One of them's Duncanson. It'll run through to Meekins, who'll lay off now for Duncanson, who gets the strike on goal and doesn't quite manage to manoeuvre that one on target. Perth's top scorer this season with 11 goals in season 2021. A player who's played every game across the first 2 seasons of the NPLW era. Diedrichson just waiting for Kim Carroll to type her bootlaces. If you're wondering what the slight delay was for. Battle between Meekins and Cook in midfield. Cook looked as though she'd won it, but Billum gets the decision from David Avison. Ridley. Wood. Sideways pass looking for Coleman. Cut out by Spadano. And then her Long ball forward gives Crane something to chase. Carroll with all of that cool, calm and composed mindset at the back, dealing with it. Cross into the area, looking for Duncanson. Ball will stay in here on this near side. Montero will give chase though, and it was a worthwhile effort to diffuse the situation for the time being. Player having a second spell with Redbacks, Grace Montero, after spending 2020 with NTC. Formerly the under-16 captain. Cook will chance her arm from distance, and those ones are going to be tough tonight, so wisely Deirdrickson takes a step to her right and makes sure she gets her body behind the ball. Duncanson, Tanner making the run forward from full back. She'll try and take on Ridley. Does a really good job, Natasha Tanner. Driving forward from left back, and then Ruby Cohen steps in and ensures Redbacks win a goal kick. Player who's really jumped into this starting 11 at the back end of the campaign, Ruby Cohen. 8 appearances and a couple of nominations into the Football West Team of the Week. One of the many partners in the centre of defence that Kim Carroll's had this season, and done really well to mentor along the way. What a tremendous player to learn from as well, that next generation of women's footballers here in WA. Meanwhile, Crane looks to give them a test. The ball inside for Cook, the ball outside for Neil, was behind the winger, who's switched sides with Duncanson again. Carlos Vegamena and Danielle Brogan, the respective coaches, both on their feet. Cook. Ball wide for Neil. Almost backed into a corner there by Coleman. She did well to get past initially, but Dunn was helping her teammate out. Of course, as we said before, the winner of this game tonight will play Murdoch University Melville in this Saturday's Top 4 Cup final. My apologies. We should just shout out the news of today that player who lifted the trophy, the captain of Murdoch University Melville, Sadie Lawrence, was announced as signed with the Perth Glory W League side today, so that's tremendous news for some local players in this competition to be given an opportunity at W League level. And obviously, having seen a lot of the champions this season, Sadie's been a player who's really capable of doing just about everything, be it scoring goals, playing a nice pass, and working hard on the defensive end as well. So obviously, congratulations to her, and I'm sure we're all looking forward to seeing some of the local women from the competition here in the West stepping up and giving it their all at W League level. Hopefully this season's a better one for the Glory. As Tanner plays into Ridley, and sky blue jerseys will win a throw again. Coleman back for Cohen. The pass from Carroll was nearly cut out by Duncanson. She got a second crack at it though. Just to finish up on the glory as well, it should be said that the likes of Kim Carroll, Sarah Carroll, Gemma Crane all already signed on for next season. There was one of them there, Sarah Carroll, threading the ball through for Walsh, the league's leading scorer in the league this season. Golden Boot winner in 2021. Ball played back for Billam. It was good pressure from Perth, and then Crane stepped in, danced past a couple of opponents. She's only got one teammate ahead of her for the moment. It's Crane still going, and then Kim Carroll got back and got her body in between player and ball, and it's another expert piece of defending from the former Matilda. Harvey wide for Duncanson, plays a 1-2 with Cook. Duncanson's got two in the middle. The cross was over the net of the Redbacks goalkeeper. Safely away for a goal kick despite a minor anxious moment or two in the crowd. So coming up to half an hour here in this preliminary final in the NPLW WA competition. Still Northern Redbacks 0, Perth Soccer Club 0. Chances few and far between in all truth. Perhaps understandable given the conditions, but they have eased up for the time being despite the wet surface that the players are playing on. Spadano stepping in. Gemma Crane was nudged off the ball by Cohen. Pass into the feet of Sarah Carroll, who'll use her experience to try and hold up the ball and then find Montero. Little turn around the corner from Billam. Slight slip from Meekins, was able to let the Redback skipper step in, and now Wood will drive forward. She's got Ridley to her outside. The cross into the area was a little too close to Bennett. From McMurdo. Took an awkward skid off a puddle under the foot of Montero, but she recovered well. And then did an even better job to win the throw off Neal. Billam, ball up the line. Should be gathered by DeLeo. In fact, it's left to the goalkeeper. And Bennett puts into touch, and Gemma Crane is just down at the moment. Certainly not what we want to see. One of the league's star players down on her haunches, looking like she's in a little bit of pain. might remember in last season's preliminary final, there was an injury scare for Gemma Crane. Last year she was playing for Fremantle City and they won by 6-1 here to qualify for the top 4 cup final. She did come off the pitch late on and there was a little bit of a scare, but she did take her place in the final here at Dorrien Gardens. Game which her Fremantle City team lost on penalties to the Redbacks. There's a star showing from Morgan Aquino on that night, which helped them in the shootout. So Perth just playing with 10 for the moment, while Gemma Crane continues to get some medical attention. They're on the front foot here, though. Cook drives through a couple of challenges, goes to ground. No foul according to the referee. And the Redbacks will now counter the other way. Ball from Dunn into the feet of Carroll. Meekins it was, I think, there, went to ground and won a free kick for Perth, and they'll just take their time over this one, I think. DeLeo's ball forward, Coleman's header. Cook's ball for Billam in space. She's got Walsh making a run up the line ahead of her. The pass will go to the Redbacks forward now, who just had to check her run slightly. She would have been offside, and that meant the ball was able to run through to Bennett pretty safely. Gemma Crane just doing a couple of run-throughs to our left off screen. Try and keep you updated as we watch the play unfold here. There's still around 10 minutes or so to play until half-time, so it would be a risky move to try and leave it that long to then have a proper look at half-time. Coleman's ball out wide. It looks as though Crane's going to carry on for the time being. Back on the pitch now. Both teams back to their full complement of 11. Meanwhile, the ball is threaded through looking for Walsh, but the official's flag is up here on this near side. Ball just runs out of play before Billam can get there. Throw in for the Azuri. Walsh's header will mean Tanner will take 2. Ball forward from Montero. DeLeo steps across and puts into touch. Sister of men's captain Jordan, of course. Coleman, Billam, Carroll to her outside, Walsh on her inside, the little reverse. Wood was making the run ahead of her. Good challenge from Montero, though. He's had a good game at right back so far tonight. The cross from Carroll, the charge down from Tanner there, I think it was. in the red boots, and Redbacks can stay on the front foot for the time being. Walsh was fouled there by Duncanson as she tried to skip past the challenge, and the Redbacks will have a free kick, and that will give Kim Carroll the opportunity to get forward. Redbacks with 5 players in the penalty area for this one. It's Carroll's ball in. It's cleared by Tanner away and at the expense of a corner. Redbacks is first of the night from memory. Carroll once again stood over it. Outswinging ball in, attacking it was Ridley, I think, at the back post there. It'll eventually run through to Cook, who plays up the line looking for Crane, who is not going to get there before it runs out of play. Ridley, Walsh, player wide open on the left-hand side here is Sean Billum, who tries her luck, and Bennett had to make a sprawling save to her right. May have been going wide of the post, but the goalkeeper wasn't to know that. First real noteworthy save that the goalkeeper's had to make tonight, and she's done a good job of it. Carroll's follow-up corner. Coleman was arriving. It may break for Ridley. It was charged down, I think, by McMurdo. Ball broke for Billum. Coleman tries to skin Tanner down her outside, is forced to cut back. Perth have got some numbers around this one now, though, and Duncanson was able to just almost slap it up the line. Only as far as Walsh, who slipped. She was running with the ball. Cook's ball into the feet of Crane. Duncanson down this left-hand side. Did well to keep the ball in play. She's only really got Cook ahead of her for the time being, so has to go it alone, and then she just lost her footing as she tried to wrap her boot around the ball. It's tough work out there for these players. Meanwhile, we're going to see Gemma Crane withdrawn here, I think. And unfortunately, she went back on and gave it a go, but didn't see fit to continue on 3 minutes from half time. So Ruby Walsh comes on in her place, and that will lead to a reshuffle here for Perth, I suspect. Hammer blow for Danielle Brogan's team. Crane's such a catalyst. What can they do without her here? Duncanson will probably leave that to run for a corner. Ball taken quickly. Cook got ahead to it. Diedrichsen leapt and caught with 2 hands. Almost caught me off guard, that quickly taken set piece, not allowing the Redbacks or myself to organise. Meanwhile, Walsh will try and launch Redbacks into a counter, and that's a great pass from Carroll. Wood's ball across was just in front of Ridley and then skipped off the surface and behind for a goal kick, and that was a great opportunity for the top 4 cup holders. Carlos Vegamena's side with 2 players forward there. Pass just didn't quite stick though, and the chance goes begging. A couple of minutes out from the break. Just to bring you up to speed with Perth's reshuffle, it looks as though Ruby Walsh has gone out to the right of midfield. And Sophia Neal has going to play a little further forward now. Meekins. Duncanson. Pass charge down. Billum steps in. Duncanson goes back in to try and win it. And then Tanner stands Walsh up pretty well. And then the ball's missed by everybody. And the Redbacks can swarm forward again. It's Walsh who's driving down this right-hand side. Redbacks have got plenty of players forward here. It's Larissa Walsh. It was a good sliding challenge there, though, from Spadano, whose tireless tracking back from midfield yielded reward for the moment. Coleman wide for Ridley. Back for Coleman. Into the feet of Wood, who tries to turn around the corner for Carroll, and McMurdo will just sky that one wide. It'll work out okay. That was a decent pass in the end to Walsh, who gets a first chance to run with the ball. It's a good passing board for Duncanson to get her involved. Perth with 3 players forward of the ball, but it was a disappointing pass forward, and Billum can cut it out. As we tick over the 45-minute mark in this first half, David Avison has a little look at the watch. Will play for a little bit longer. Wood got to the 50-50 first. Spadano's got to get there next as a result. She did just enough to allow her defence to get back. And then putting that over the touchline is Harvey. Possibly one last chance here for the Redbacks in this first half. Shouts for handball. Decision goes the way of Perth. Oh, Walsh gets her head to the ball here, and she's off and away to the races. It's Larissa Walsh who's in on goal, and the shot was straight at Bennett. It looked as though it just bobbled off the turf slightly as she hit it. And Perth are given a reprieve right on the stroke of half-time. A tough first half in at times stormy conditions here at Dorrien Gardens in the NPLW preliminary final between the Redbacks and Perth. Goalless between these two sides at the break. May Diedrichsen has been called upon to make a couple of saves from long distance. Rebecca Bennett made that massive save at the end, and then she dived to her right to deny Sean Billum, who hit one from range as well. But chances, in all truth, have been few and far between. The big news possibly is the substitution of Gemma Crane, who picked up an injury, went back on to try and continue, and then wasn't able to do so. We'll see what that means for the Azzurri in the second half, but for now we've played 45 minutes at Dorrien Gardens, and it's Northern Redbacks 0, Perth Soccer Club 0. Welcome back to Dorrien Gardens for the second half of this NPLW WA preliminary final between Northern Redbacks and Perth Soccer Club. All tied up at the break, goalless between the sides. "45 minutes or so, plus extra time and penalties if required, to see who plays Murdoch University Melville at this venue on Saturday afternoon in a twilight spot at 4:45 p.m. Real tough, attritional first half battle in at times severe rain. Thankfully it's lightened up since then, and a bit of that wind has died down as well. Let's hope that both teams can get a good crack at it in this second half. Ball's poked forward here for the running Walsh. Change to bring you news of from the Redbacks. We'll bring that to you shortly. Once Tessa DeLeo lofts that one upfield. Cohen then back up the line. Carroll. Ball threaded through here for the run of Walsh, and Bennett comes sliding out of the goal and then dives on it at the second time of asking. Just before Carla Bennett arrived on the spot, that's the change to bring you news of. She comes on in place of Olivia Wood. So that's a like-for-like swap in the centre of the park for Carlos Vega Mania's team. And in case you are only just joining us at the beginning of this second half, the main news from a Perth point of view was the substitution of Gemma Crane with injury. Ruby Walsh came on in her place. Here she is chasing after the ball through from Duncanson, and Deirdrickson gathered. So evenly poised here in this one here. Largely long-range shots were the order of that opening period, although Larissa Walsh, the league's top scorer this season, at least in the league component of the season, had a golden opportunity in the shadows of half-time. Here she is again, chasing after this ball through from Billam, and she's on the end of it. The strike at goal was taken early, and it was straight at the goalkeeper, Bennett. Meekins plays into Coleman, goes back and gets the ball again. Here's Neal. Ball in for Meekins. First time cross from Duncanson gives Walsh something to chase, but Deirdrickson's off her line promptly. Perth holding the Redbacks goalless to date so far. It's not been their favourite fixture over the course of the first 2 years of the NPLW era. The Redbacks have won all 5 NPLW fixtures between the sides. 3 of those games here at Dorrien Gardens, 2 of them this season. And in fact, Perth's only success against them was in the night series, the pre-season competition at the start of 2021. So a 5th meeting in totality, and of course a first post-season meeting as well. Goals from Sarah Carroll and Larissa Walsh gave them gave the Redbacks a 2-0 win here back in round 16. And that was actually the last time the Redbacks conceded a goal at home 4 matches ago. Cohen's clearance just skidded off the instep, and it'll present Perth with a corner. Duncanson's ball into the area. Attacking it was DeLeo there, I think. It was hooked off the line by Montero. And then Spadano will try and dig out a volley, but it's wide of the target. And I think that was Grace Montero on the line in amongst the crowd of bodies in the Redbacks penalty area who just got the ball away to safety. Looked as though Tessa DeLeo was attacking that Duncanson outswinger. Perth showing good intent at the start of this second half. The carrot, I suppose, at the end of this is the top 4 cup final will be played here at their home ground if they can make it. Meanwhile, ball is put into touch by Spadano, I think, as Montero gets back to her feet now. Looks to be limping a little gingerly, but seems okay to continue for the time being. Here's McMurdo. Crossfield ball will land at the feet of the substitute Walsh. Ball forward from Bennett. Billam's got a little bit of space to run into on the left here. She's come inside on her right foot, Sean Billam. It was a good challenge from DeLeo. It may break for Walsh. And then Coleman hits, deflected, and straight into the gloves of Diedrichsen. I think that may have been going wide of the target anyway, but the goalkeeper made absolutely sure of it. High boot there, I think, against Duncanson. On Montero, who's been in the wars in the past couple of minutes. Cohen's pass intercepted by Walsh here, who looks to play the ball across for Duncanson. Carroll was expertly in position to deal with it, though. Walsh will try and keep in play, but it escapes her. Coleman brings under control. Carroll turns around the corner. Ball just skips away from Bennett. Tanner steps in. Cook. Header forward from Neal. Dunn has a little bit of time. Now Walsh arrives. It was a good pass for Bennett. Billam, my apologies. And then Walsh steals off the toes of Harvey, and she loves to run into that space. The ball forwards here is for Jaina Ridley, who looks to go down the outside of Tanner. She'll pull back across. It's Larissa Walsh who spins. The strike comes in from Carla Bennett, who was arriving late on the scene, and in the end it was a tame one, and Bennett was able to gather, as she has done in an assured measure for most of the evening. Duncanson barges Dunn to the ground. Redbacks get a free kick. Carroll's ball forward gives Walsh something to chase. She's only got Ridley in the middle for the time being, so has to stop, prop and assess her options. Skidding ball across was looking for Bennett. She'll then go into the 50-50 with Spadano. The two number sixes going at it in midfield, and Spadano will put over the sideline into touch. Football here from the Redbacks. Walsh just tries to skim past Harvey, but can't do so. Coleman. Montero forward. Walsh gives chase. Bennett also. Both of these teams qualified for the top 4 cup last season, of course, and in fact we had the 4 same teams in 2021 as we did in 2020, and in fact the first week of finals was a repeat as well. This year though we do have the added game of the preliminary final, which is being played tonight. Of course, the Redbacks played 120 minutes last year in the semi-final and defeated the champions Mom FC on penalties to advance to the final. And then they defeated Fremantle City in the final on penalties as well, as we mentioned earlier. So they certainly know what it's like to go the distance in these games and take the long way to the finals. WA's only women's only club, of course, and so decorated in terms of the honours that they've won over the years of their history since being founded as Morley Windmills back in 1991. Perth, meanwhile, we know what their credentials are, in particular at the men's level, but they're looking to go and win their first piece of women's silverware as Walsh's cross into the area was looking for either Carroll or Ridley. The ball is headed away as far as Coleman, stepping in Spadano, and now Duncanson will slide in on Bennett. Bennett emerges with the ball, and then I think David Avison may have got a little touch in there, but didn't come at any detriment to the game. Billam forward. Comes inside, still going Sean Billam. The strike at goal, she couldn't quite curl it. On the instep, she appealed for the corner and away it went for a goal kick. Good to see Gemma Crane sat on the bench with the coaching staff under those sky blue and white Perth Soccer Club umbrellas. Redbacks coaching staff have their umbrellas as well. No substitutes incidentally. They're obviously keeping warm in the shelter. So an hour played here at Dorrien Gardens, still waiting for the breakthrough goal. Sarah Carroll might see about changing that now, though. The cross comes in. Harvey got the header in. Carla Bennett emerged with possession. She wanted to get onto the right foot, and it just escaped her as she turned inside. Ruby Walsh being pressured by Dunn. And then she goes back to the safety of Emma McMurdo. Billum, Carroll, Bennett, Walsh managed to stay onside there. Cross comes into the area. Ridley will give chase. Duncanson and Tanner also. Ridley was the one who got there first. She was outnumbered by 2 Perth players, and eventually the Azuri can sort it out, although clearance goes straight into a Redbacks player, and Carla Bennett will get the strike away. No deflection there, and they'll settle for a goal kick. Meanwhile, Redbacks will turn to the bench for the second time this evening. We're going to see Renee Leota enter the pitch. Former New Zealand international, capped 15 times by the football ferns. Player who played in the Beijing Olympics in 2008 and in 3 under-20 World Cups. A player who's been a real pivotal figure off the bench in season 2021 for Carlos Vega Mena's team, and has helped to just provide that focal point at the sharp end of the pitch. She comes on in place of Jaina Ridley, and it looks as though for now it's going to be a straight swap with Leota slotting in on that right wing in the Redbacks' 4-3-3 formation. Carla Bennett coming on for Olivia Wood in the centre of midfield, in case you missed it. Meanwhile, Sophia Neal's nicked the ball. The pass inside for Ruby Walsh. The clearance was an important one from Dunn. And then Duncanson can keep alive over on the far side. She'll try and twist back inside, and Montero stood tall and won that battle. And then the pass forward for Leota was a really good one, and now the threaded ball through was looking for either Walsh or Carroll, and picked out neither of the two. Billum. Leota. Pass slightly behind Bennett. Ball forward. Just zipped past Duncanson off the turf, and Cohen will go and collect. Coleman steps in and concedes the foul. A player who's had a brilliant season in 2021, Jacinta Coleman. Scored that memorable, stunning ceiling goal over on the synthetic. It was the Redbacks beat Mum FC back in round 7. 5 goals in 21 in total for the campaign. McMurdo's ball forward. Spadano managed to control. There is Coleman stepping in, as she has done all season long. Outfoxed by the turn of Tanner on that occasion. The 2 number 15s battling for the ball. Coleman wins out eventually. Leota exchanges passes with Carroll. And Spadano once again doing the tracking back and doing the dirty work in midfield and winning the ball back for her team. Meekins' releasing ball will give Walsh something to chase, but as we've seen so often this evening, it's been so difficult to land those passes and keep them within reach of the players. Duncanson managed to keep it in play over on the far side. In fact, no, she didn't. Jared Maunder puts his flag up. Referees also doing their best to stay warm tonight as well. Rain has been fairly relentless in this second half, as you may have noticed. Redbacks win a free kick. It's Kim Carroll stood over it. It's clipped into the area. Leota tried to get the flick on. It was a good header from Liana Cook, I think it was back there. Montero, Cook again with the header. Sophia Neal tries to turn her marker. Redbacks had numbers though, and Cohen can step in. Good challenge there from Ruby Walsh on her namesake Larissa. Thrown for Redbacks, taken by Dunn. Carla Bennett's ball in's a dangerous one. Leosa was lurking. Harvey will just try and gain territory, and then Dunn smartly wins the throw off Walsh. Game seemingly being played in that corner of the pitch at the moment. Forward from Dunn. Leota got the volleyed effort, but it was miscued and wide. Midway through this second half then, Northern Redbacks 0, Perth 0. Still goalless. Still, we wait to see who's going to take the initiative here. Thanks for joining us tonight for a late one here in the West, live on the Football West YouTube channel and on the Facebook page. Tommy Dolman with you on the call. Reminder that extra time and penalties will be played if scores are level after 90 minutes. Get the feeling this is the sort of game where a real moment of quality or a mistake will possibly decide it. Montero's ball forward. Billen will look up. The cross comes in. Carroll's at the back post. The header was only as far as Bennett. And then stabbing away was Harvey. DeLeo. Ball runs through for Neal, who's now playing in that central striker position. The ball over the top from Cook will give Walsh something to chase, but Carroll is in the right spot to get the ball back to Diedrichsen, and then the goalkeeper's clearance is skewed off the outside of the foot and out for a Perth throw. Will now possibly get their opportunity to stay on the front foot. Bennett passes perfectly weighted for Walsh, who is converged upon by 3 or 4 Perth defenders, and then McMurdo made a challenge and became the first player to go into the referee's notebook tonight. case of Walsh, such a threat. It's put fear into opposition defenders all season long. Kim Carroll stood over this free kick. Redbacks have 6 forward for this one. It's aimed in at Coleman. It might break to Leota at the back post, but she's offside. Carroll. Important challenge at the back for Perth there. Neal. Now Cook. Tries to split the Redbacks defence. Carroll once again there though. Coleman. Neal. All a little scrappy in midfield. Montero, Coleman, Leota. Duncanson nicks the ball and then she scoots past Montero. Past one. Can she get past another? She looks forward and spots the run of Neal. Instead of carrying it, Neal's ball to the edge of the area for Liana Cook stepping in. Once again, Coleman. It really has been a night for the screening midfielders, with Spadano and Coleman putting in a power of work so far this evening. Bennett's pass gets to Billam, who helps it on. Walsh can keep this alive here, and she's got some space to move into. She instead opts for the early cross. It's headed away by McMurdo. And now Coleman will drive from range. It's straight into DeLeo. And now Perth can possibly come away the other direction. Game a little open in midfield there from both teams. Been so hard on the players physically tonight playing in these conditions. You possibly expect that it may open up a little bit and become a touch more stretched in these final 15 to 20 minutes. Spoke about Perth's 5 clean sheets in a row. The Redbacks, before those 2 games against Murdoch University Melville, had kept 6 clean sheets in 7 games and 3 in a row. So perhaps not too much of a surprise that we're still goalless for now. Coleman's pass, the turn around the corner. Not sure if Walsh was onside or not, though. McMurdo wasn't to take any chances. Last touch off Walsh. Redbacks throw. Billam tries to run away with the ball. David Avison was on the whistle quickly though. Redbacks will win another free kick and will get an opportunity to throw some numbers forward again. 5 of them go into the penalty area. It's played shorter for Coleman instead. Walsh will then pick up the ball wide left, but she was coming back from a offside position in receiving the pass. Redbacks play out from the back, brilliant there, although just as I say that, Harvey steps in. Dunn's ball forward. Carroll, awkward one off the chest to try and control. DeLeo's pass was misplaced. Ball comes back forward to the feet of Walsh. The releasing ball was looking for Leota. Bennett's got to come off her line and effect a clearance. Making her way back to the goal line. Coleman thought about it. Opted to keep the ball instead. She'll try and take on Walsh, who's swapped flanks with Duncanson by the looks of it. Once again, Walsh coming from an offside position. Redbacks have made a couple of changes already. They've still got Lauren Continibali, Andrea Teixeira and Katie Moth on the bench, should they wish to utilise them. Perth, meanwhile, have brought on Ruby Walsh for the injured Gemma Crane, Jess Burns, Sophia Papalia, Kate Ritchie and Shivani Battaglia. Substitutes for the Azzurri. Coleman. Walsh. Coleman's ball into the feet of Leota. And now Dunn. Part of that 200 club, of course, for the Redbacks, those loyal, long-serving players. One of 4 in the current squad, along with Carla Bennett, Larissa Walsh and Renee Leota. Nicola Williams also part of that club, who is currently the assistant coach at Lazio. Dunn's cross, aimed in at Carroll. Header clear, should be retrieved by Montero, who then has a rush of blood to the head and takes a speculative effort. Meekins plays wide right for Duncanson. Few players arriving in the penalty area. One of them's Meekins, who got a toe on it, and it was a hard one to control in terms of getting that effort on goal, but chances really are few and far between, and it was one which was presentable in terms of it at least being a half chance in the penalty area. Player who's certainly got an eye for goal from midfield, Abby Meekins, 7 this campaign. Contributed last season as well. Notably this season, a stunning left-footed volley in the early stages of the campaign away at Fremantle City. Forward from Bennett, put into touch by McMurdo, who's on a yellow card, of course. Only player in both teams to be on one for the moment. Bennett, time to look up and assess. Bennett will come and claim confidently. And that's just what you want to see as a defender, to see your goalkeeper coming out and claiming with real authority. So into the final 10 minutes here. Dorrien Gardens still 0-0 between second and third in this season's competition. Place in the final against Mum FC on Saturday at stake. Extra time and penalties as well if required. Nice little spin away from Coleman. Bennett's ball over the top. Carroll tried to help that on towards goal, and it ran through to the goalkeeper once again. Certainly been the slightly busier of the two goalkeepers in this half, Rebecca Bennett. Forward from Spadano, headed from Carroll, gathered by Coleman, back to Carroll. Leota. Spadano is trying to make a nuisance of herself in midfield, and then Harvey and Bilm go into combat, and the tackle was won by Harvey. Forward from Didrikson, volleyed back by Meekins. Ball eventually landed at the feet of Billam, who pokes forward looking for Leota. It was an important boot in from Harvey. And then McMurdo made another intervention. Still possession with Redbacks. A little 1-2 between Walsh and Bennett. Walsh will strike on goal! Oh, it's just wide. That was nearly a spectacular strike from Larissa Walsh. I think a few people thought that was creeping inside that post. And it certainly had Bennett scrambling to her right. Still we wait though. Ball forward from DeLeo. Brought down by Duncanson. She's got three Redback players in and around her. Does well to dig out the cross, and in fact does a really good job to win the corner against a serious outnumber there. Duncanson's ball in, attacking that DeLeo. Who was that last touch off? It was off a red shirt, according to the official, and we'll get another corner from the other side of the pitch. aimed high. Neal got ahead to it. Referee said there was a push. As Neal leapt for the ball, and free kick will go the way of the Redbacks. DeLeo swung a leg at it. Got away with it in the end. Misplaced pass from Walsh there. Works out okay for Perth though. Harvey's got a little bit of space here to look up and pick out an option upfield. She passed it straight to the head of Kim Carroll. Now Sarah Carroll pokes forward. Harvey's had another good game tonight here at Dorrien Gardens. She finds the feed of Duncanson, who has to inventively hook over her shoulder. Tanner got to the ball first, but Walsh was tracking back. Now Coleman into the feed of Leota. Leota's got two teammates running ahead of them. One of them is Grace Montero from fullback. DeLeo was across and putting over the touchline. So just a touch over 2 minutes left. Can either team find a winner for the end of 90 minutes? Perth will have a crack first. It's Spadano's ball forward for Duncanson, who just nudges it up the line for Neal, who wins the throw-in. Carlos Vegamena asking for concentration from his team. Duncanson's ball into the area. It's aimed in at Walsh. It'll break for Abby Meekins at the back post, who hesitated, put the ball across goal, and it was just behind Walsh. I think many thought that she may have hit that one first time, though. Still here for Perth, though. It's flicked on by Neal. Walsh is still lurking. Carroll is in the best position to deal with it. And the pass is just away from Montero ever so slightly. Cook just lost her footing there in trying to keep that in play. Shouts for a foul throw against Bennett there. Play continues. Walsh, Billum bursting forward from midfield. The first touch just got away from the Redbacks skipper. In the end, it was an important piece of tracking back there from Walsh to just put off the central midfielder. Meanwhile, Leota's ball over the top. Larissa Walsh is in on goal and sliding wide of the post. Oh, she's had a big chance at the end of each half to win it for the Redbacks. And given her form this season, you'd expect the back of the net to bulge. And David Avison blows for full time here at Dorrien Gardens. No goals in this one after an hour and a half's worth of football. We're going to need extra time and possibly penalties to determine who progresses through to the top four cup final, which will be played this Saturday at Dorrien Gardens against Murdoch University Melville FC. Players will gather together, take on some fluids and take on some messages from their respective coaches. We'll take a quick break as well, and we'll be back with you for the start of extra time very shortly. Welcome back to Dorrien Gardens for extra time of this NPLW WA preliminary final match. A grand final position on the line this weekend. Nothing between these two teams after 90 minutes. We're going to need 15 minutes each way to determine who progresses from this midweek game here in the West. And if it's still level after 120 minutes, penalties will be required. Bilham's little Turn around the corner. It's going to be grasped by Bennett. No changes from either team, incidentally, at the start of the extra time period. I said before, it's the third time in 4 finals in the NPLW era in terms of the postseason that they've been pushed to at least extra time. The Redbacks also played in extra time in the semi-finals of the State Cup this season as well. 2-2 at full time against Mum FC before losing 5-2 after 120 minutes. Meanwhile, it's the first time in a finals match where Perth have had to go to distance, although they did go to penalties against Balcatta in the State Cup earlier in the campaign and lost by 4-3 against Tim Cash's team. Here's Montero. Bennett. Ball was aimed in behind Carroll, and in any case, the W League star went a little bit too early and was caught offside. So just in case you're joining us late on here, Gemma Crane went off a few minutes before half-time with an injury, having come back on initially to try and run it off. She was replaced by Ruby Walsh. Carla Bennett came on for Olivia Wood, and then Renee Leota came on for Jaina Ridley in terms of the substitutions. Larissa Walsh with a scorching strike and 2 one-on-ones at the end of each half. The best chances for the Redbacks to get the winner. Perth largely restricted to long-range efforts thus far, although they did have an effort cleared off the line by Grace Montero in that second period. Meanwhile, Leota threads the ball through. Walsh does get there first, but Rebecca Bennett was off her line and got a crucial foot in to block the play, and now Billum clips one through. Walsh is surely offside there, and is. Looked pretty clear from where we were sat, despite the protestations. Billum, Carla Bennett, little clip through. Walsh stood up by Tanner, spinning away from McMurdo, still going Larissa Walsh, who goes to ground, and this is a free kick in a good position here for Northern Redbacks. And I suspect that Sarah Carroll will take plenty of interest in this one. Scored a couple from this sort of distance earlier in the campaign. It's Sarah Carroll's strike on goal. It's straight into the wall. She'll get a second bite at it. And in the end, the toe was from Meekins, and I think that's going to be a corner. And it will be. Redbacks can keep their numbers forward. There's 5 in the penalty area waiting for this one. It's into the chest of Bennett, who gathers cleanly. Always a nervous wait and watch when players are arriving on the 6-yard box, but it was close enough for the goalkeeper to read that one well. Montero. Little pass inside for Leota. The turn around the corner for Walsh. Crucial interception by DeLeo, and then Sarah Carroll lets one rip from distance. It was going wide of the post, but Bennett made absolutely certain of it. Throw in taken quickly by Duncanson for Sophia Neal. She goes back for Duncanson. The cross was straight into Bennett, I think it is, over on that far side. In fact, it was done. Spadano's pass forward will be watched into touch by Kim Carroll, and May Diedrichsen will gather again and get us restarted once more. Player who's making a 20th appearance of the campaign. 8 clean sheets. Was the number 2 to Morgan Aquino for the majority of the last campaign, but has been the number 1 this year. Billam's ball forward will give something for Leota to chase. She's in a foot race with McMurdo. McMurdo slides in. Leota then goes to ground. Billam's ball into the area is intercepted by DeLeo. Ball took a vicious bounce off the turf. Carroll was unable to react quickly enough, and ball ran through pretty comfortably. You get the feeling that Mum FC are going to be pretty happy watching this one at home. Both teams being forced to go the distance in tough conditions. Meekins has passed forward. Duncanson has got 2 to aim for in the middle. One of them's Ruby Walsh, who got under the header. Montero then just got it away any old how, and Billam completes the clearance. And Billam does likewise again and gives Walsh something to chase. The header from DeLeo only as far as Carroll. Leota closed down by Walsh through the legs of Larissa Walsh, who was being held onto by McMurdo. In from Carroll. It's flicked on by Walsh there, and if there was contact, it was minimal. Another nearly moment there. As contact was attempted to be made. Ball was won by Billam there, according to David Avison. Walsh. Billam, ball over the top, gives Carroll something to run after. And once again, Bennett almost playing that sweeper keeper role off her line ever so quickly. Snuff out that danger. Forward from McMurdo, flying at the ball there was Montero and missing it completely. Cook emerges with it eventually. Pass was left by Carroll and picked up by Diedrichsen, who thought about releasing quickly for Montero, but thought better of it. There is Ruby Walsh. Throw for Neal. Challenge came in from Montero, no foul. Tanner stepping in. Spadano. Little poke forward, away from Walsh, who along with Montero was at NTC last season. Appearances there last season. WA and state junior representative. Billam and Spadano battling for the ball. McMurdo to her right. Cook's pass intercepted by Bennett. Meekins drives forward. Spadano's heel. Neal just almost stood on the ball there. Unfortunately for her, it's a lovely piece of Perth build-up that just didn't quite land on the final pass. Now Spadano turning, threading through for Liana Cook to strike on goal, and Cook finds the back of the net. Perth plunder one into the goal from the edge of the area. Cook finds the breakthrough, the Azzurri lead, and maybe they can dream of playing in the top 4 cup final on Saturday. Perth 1, Redbacks 0. Liana Cook's 6th goal of the season in the 102nd minute of this one puts the Azzurri a goal to the good. And if they can keep a 6th clean sheet in a row, they will be playing in Saturday's showpiece here against the defending champions Mum FC. Redbacks will still be determined to get there though and have the opportunity to defend their crown, which they won last season. It's Coleman letting one go from distance, and it took a kind bounce in front of Bennett, who has once again come up big. Well, that just changes the complexion of this one completely now. Walsh will latch onto this header. She's got 2 teammates in the middle, one of them Sarah Carroll. It was an important touch from Tanner, and then it was a even more important clearance from McMurdo as Walsh went back in to try and win the ball. Ball took an awkward bounce off Montero. Perth will get a throw. They've got a couple of minutes to see out before they can reset for a final 15-minute Carroll. Forward for Walsh. Sarah Carroll. Walsh will let that one run. Billam will let this one run again. Bennett tried to pull the ball across goal, and Libby Caldwell flags for the gold kick. So 104 minutes on the clock now, according to the scoreboard here at Dorrien Gardens. Perth 1, Redbacks 0. Ball poked into touch there by Walsh after Bennett wore a pretty heavy ball forward there. Strong challenge by Spadano. Gives Redbacks a free kick here as the 105-minute mark ticks over. Carroll's ball forward. Walsh will arrive on the scene and find the back of the net. A golden moment from the league's Golden Boot winner. And Redbacks draw level in the shadows of the first half of extra time ending. Perth 1, Redbacks 1. And that was the last action as we hit 105 minutes. We were goalless after 90 minutes, and then a strike from just inside the 18-yard box from Liana Cook squirmed its way into the bottom corner of the net. That gave Perth a lead, and it was a lead they were so close to holding on to at the intermission, but as Kim Carroll's free kick went forward, in the shadows of that whistle, Larissa Walsh ghosted in behind, helped the ball into the back of the net for her 16th goal of the campaign, and once again we're all tied up here. 15 minutes left to play after this. It'll be a very quick break as the players take on some water, a couple of messages from their coaches. So Perth break from their huddle. The Redbacks are ready to go. David Avison blows his whistle. 15 more minutes left for one of these teams this season. Chance to play in Saturday's final, up for grabs. What twists and turns will we see in this period of extra time? Redbacks will try and make the running first. It's Leota into the legs of Spadano. Important challenge from Harvey, away from Dunn and out for a throw. Leota off the outside of the boot. Billam's pull back. DeLeo cut it out. Last touch was off the defender, and her partner at the back, McMurdo, couldn't quite keep it in. Carroll's ball in's a dangerous one. Bennett got two gloves to it. Spadano will gain a little bit of territory. Neal's got to battle for the ball here on her own. Instead, ball was played back by Montero for Cohen. Still a little bit scrappy in midfield. Spadano emerges with possession and then tries to thread the pass through for Ruby Walsh, but that was a wonderful piece of reading of the play from Grace Montero. Coleman. Billam's pass cut out by Abby Meekins. Here comes the rain again. Just to make this last quarter of an hour even more difficult on the players than it already has been. Leota charges down McMurdo's clearance. Carroll will get a chest to the ball and then keep it in play. Harvey stuck well to her task again, though. Duncanson gets it back for Zoe Spadano, and now Liana Cook is waiting for support. It comes now in the form of Sophia Neal. The tracking back was from Coleman, and she did just enough with the body to put Perth's number 18 off it. Harvey, Duncanson, ball forward, over the head of Cook. Spadano retrieves. Neal, the turn inside for Liana Cook, who gets the strike away. She had Duncanson in plenty of space here on this right side. And Cook is a little slow to get on to her feet. Looks as though she's just trying to stretch out a little bit of cramp. She's back now trying to run that one off. Leota, a little flick through. DeLeo spanks it upfield, and Montero and Walsh are giving chase. Former should win the race and does. Diedrichson upfield. Meekins. Cook stayed onside. Ball is back for Duncanson, who needs support here. She's once again fighting a battle on her own against two Redbacks defenders. Harvey's an option behind the ball. Now Spadano joins in. The cross comes in. It's headed away by Coleman. Duncanson. Perth with three players in the area here. Duncanson's cross. It's charged down by Dunn. Corner Perth. Duncanson's ball in. Tanner was approaching the ball, but it was cleared away by the Redbacks. And then Spadano tried to find Duncanson out there again, and Billum was able to cut out, but midfield leader for Perth was able to get back in position and cut out the pass. That goal which Perth conceded, incidentally, was the first one that they'd conceded for 605 minutes. Almost 7 hours of game time over the past month of the campaign. Last time they did concede before that goal from Walsh was against Fremantle City. It was a game they lost 2-1. And that was the last defeat they suffered. Cook with the turn around the corner. Billum will try her luck from distance. Straight down the throat of Bennett once more, though. Carroll, Dunn. Good pressure there from Spadano. Dunn went back in to win the ball. Now Bennett. Sarah Carroll. Carla Bennett continued her run and poked past for Larissa Walsh, who's looking to pass the ball inside for Sarah Carroll. The strike on goal. She had a teammate to her right, but took the effort on instead. And once again, the informed goalkeeper Bennett was on the mark again. Forward by McMurdo, headed back by Dunn. Carroll tries to pick out Leota, gets the ball back and then spins it wide for Walsh. Touch inside was a little heavy, but the winger went back in and got the ball. Spadano's pass was cut out by Carla Bennett. Dunn, Coleman, picked off once again by Spadano, and then the pass forward out of the reach of Neal. Billam, Coleman, touch under 5 minutes left here before penalties will be required. Harvey's ball gives Duncanson something to chase. Carroll can mop up and find Dunn, and now Bennett. Dunn again with a pass up the line. Meekins has got a little bit of time here and brings it down well enough. Spadano wide for Duncanson. The cross into the area. It should be an easy take for Diedrichsen. Oh, it slipped through the goalkeeper's legs. And out of nowhere, Perth have surely found a winner now. They've got 4 minutes left to hold on here. It's Perth 2, Northern Redbacks 1. So Redbacks get us restarted again. They've come from behind already in extra time. They're going to have to do so again if they are to extend their season. Tanner clears wide. Walsh goes long up the line. Danielle Brogan's on her feet, urging her team, motivating her team. Time ticking down. 3 minutes left, plus any added time at the discretion of the referee. Montero forward, Billam surging down the right-hand side. The crossing in the middle, Leota arriving, the gather from Bennett. And she clutches the ball tightly and takes a couple more seconds off this clock. Coleman. Carroll's ball forward. Getting close to All or nothing time for the Redbacks here. Walsh has stayed on side here, and she's put it over the crossbar. She's found the back of the net all ready to tie things up. This evening, Larissa Walsh, she's had a few other good chances in amongst that as well. And is that the Redbacks' last opportunity to draw level and possibly force a penalty shootout? Long from Bennett. Forward from Kim Carroll. The flick on was from Carla Bennett. Larissa Walsh giving chase. The pullback's looking for Sarah Carroll, and then cleared into touch by Nadia Harvey. Spadano's flick on. Meekins had a little bit more time than she thought, but wasn't willing to take a chance. We're into the final minute of the 120. Leota's pull back to the 6-yard line is grabbed by Bennett. Meekins forward. Has Cook stayed on side here? She has. She's got Spadano in the middle. The cross comes in, and Diedrichsen did a good job that time to react and palm over her own crossbar. But as far as Perth are concerned, it's at the right end of the ground for them now. We've ticked over the 120-minute mark as David Avison requests another ball. We've got Liana Cook and Jamie Duncanson in the corner here. Redbacks have got to win this ball and get it back upfield as soon as possible. They get the goal kick. Danielle Brogan urging her team to push back. It's just about all or nothing time for the Redbacks here. It's cut out by Walsh. It's up in the air from Neal. Coleman won the header. Neal emerges with the ball and just pokes it forward. Walsh will give chase. Diedrichsen will come and gather. Got to go now. Long and upfield. Over the head of Walsh. DeLeo pokes it into touch. Seconds tick down. Bennett back for Montero. It's got to go forward here surely now. As far as the Redbacks are concerned, the ball will escape from the Redbacks' grasp, and Perth will qualify for Saturday's Top 4 Cup final here at their home ground of Dorrien Gardens, where they will play Murdoch University Melville for a shot at their first piece of silverware in the NPLW era. The Redbacks will not get to defend their Top 4 Cup crown. Unfortunately for them, they were pushed the distance by Perth. It was a hard night, a long night in tough conditions, stormy at times with sideways rain. And a taxing one, no doubt, on the players. We were goalless at full time. The deadlock was broken by Liana Cook, a shot which found its way into the bottom corner from the edge of the area. And then just in the shadows of that half-time whistle, to end the first period of added time, it was Kim Carroll who put a free kick forward. Larissa Walsh ghosted in behind the defence and prodded home her 16th of the season. And then the second half of extra time unfolded. A cross came in from the right-hand side, and the ball somehow found its way into the back of the net, and that was the game's decisive moment for the Azzurri. They're all smiles. Danielle Brogan goes out and celebrates with her team. A tough blow for the Redbacks, who fell short in the league and won't get the opportunity to play for silverware in Saturday's final. Instead, it'll be Perth who get there. Off the back of 5 straight wins in the league, and now a win after extra time against the Redbacks. They come off to a round of applause after a 2-1 extra time win over Northern Redbacks. Good night.